We live. We definitely live here. Let me see if I can get the chat going. I don't know if anybody else can talk in the chat. Whoever's with me, try to write in the chat because I don't know if it's popping up for me yet. What's up, everybody? Hopefully you guys can hear me. I hope this is Can you guys hear me? Let's see what these settings are. Because I can't, if somebody else is typing, I can't hear it. I can't see it or whatever. It says that 2 people are in the chat room, but I can't see if there's anybody's writing in the... All right. Just give me one more second. I'll wait. Make sure people can, there might be just 2 or 3 to join us. For some reason, I can't see if anybody's typing anything. It's not showing me anybody else but myself, for sure, for some reason. Yeah, I just like the chat room's not showing me anybody else. Yeah, see, it's got 4 people. I'm sure probably 4 of you are trying to type in the chat, or maybe you aren't. I'm not sure. But for some reason, it's not showing me anybody's chat. There it goes. Hey, Lydia. Good morning. It's finally coming in. Okay. Now it's working, I think. Lydia, how's it going? Good morning. So everybody, I have an exciting information for you all. Hopefully everybody can hear me and everything's working all right. I think maybe it's just lagging a little bit on my end, so that's why I wasn't seeing it. Good morning to everybody out there. What's up, Lydia? Whoever's out there right now in the chat room, thank you for being a Patreon. I'm giving you guys some exclusive information this morning. And it's been sort of like years, culmination of years of not just doing readings on people, but research and having experience and working with crystals and working with tensor tools. All of this sort of like started to accumulate and amplify my psychic ability my clairvoyant abilities, and my abilities to basically obtain higher dimensional access of information while even doing research and working with crystals and different things. And certain times I'll even be reading either religious writings or someone else's book or something like that. And when I hear certain bits and pieces of information, it'll link to something that's outside of what's being described in the book. It'll be like I'll be given a glimpse of the truth what's in that in that statement, and a link to other information, and it seems to amplify my research, even working with the tensor tools and the crystals and everything else, and seems to amplify my psychic ability. Just being clairvoyant in general, it seems to amplify those abilities. Uh, and I think the more the more you practice with it, the more you work with it, the stronger it gets, and the stronger it gets. And I mean, they use crystals for everything, quartz crystals for everything. So especially when you're putting electrical pulses through quartz crystals, and quartz crystals are sort of like the way they record, the way I understand it, is sort of like through echoes. Like they can record echoes of information, and this is very similar to some of the way even like dolphins communicate, right? So I was shown something very interesting over the last few days since the vernal equinox, and it has to do with comets, and it has to do with dolphins. And what's very interesting is I do feel that there are certain places on this planet that are reflections of our higher dimensional coordinates. Like they go hand in hand, above and below, the waters above and the waters below. And dolphins are one of these species on this planet that bring the river of higher dimensional knowledge into this world. And there are certain sacred rivers that lead to oceans on our planet. And those are sort of like a reflection, uh, say, say like veins and arteries are going to the organs of the planet, and it's a reflection of, and we're like, it's similar to how we are, like we have different veins and arteries that flow to the main organs of our of our body, right? Our planetary system, each one of us. The same thing is with our planet, certain locations, right? And higher dimensionally, in other higher dimensions that we're sort of a reflection of, right? And so one of these rivers, I was shown, was even brought here by a comet. And I found some references even in the Vedas to all of this, and even in the Bible. And we're going to talk about some of this today. And I was shown that comets literally bring water. They bring water, and they bring species to this planet, as well as they can bring plagues, they could bring destruction, and they could bring life, right? And they're sort of even reserved for times of war. And God is even talking about this in the Bible, right? In the book of Revelation. He's talking about this in the book of Isaiah, in the book of Job. And there's a lot of examples of this. And one of these sacred rivers on our planet is the Mama Ganga, right? The Ganges River. They call it, Mother Ganga in India. This is one of the rivers that flow, eventually dumps into the Bay of Bengal, and then the Bay of Bengal into the Indian Ocean. I don't know if I could share on this. I might have to do a I might have to do another StreamYard stream from StreamYard to be able to share screens. I don't think I could share my screen on here, but I have some pictures to go along with today. And so basically, comets, right? Comets are interplanetary travelers. They're interdimensional travelers, and they're like balls of ice and balls of life, and they have all sorts of like gases and stones and everything. And I'm gonna even explain to you what I believe, what I was shown, even comets consist of. I do feel that when certain beings of matter perish, even in the cosmic wars that are happening above us throughout time, depending on the divine intelligence that's within that being, depends on where it ends up and where it goes in the solar system. Some of these higher creatures, when their physical bodies of matter had perished, that physical matter became comets and different places in the sky, and they're used and stored in certain places within our solar system where they're summoned from, like the Oort cloud. Comets don't just come randomly. There's certain places in our solar system that have like reservoirs of comets. Like there's like a Jupiter reservoir near Jupiter somewhere. There's one in called the Oort cloud, and like the Kuiper belt. They have like they're like storehouses for comets, and these are where they get summoned from. And I was shown that the Ganges River, the Bay of Bengal, literally came here through a comet. That water for the Ganges River came here through a comet, and with it came a freshwater species of dolphins that's on this planet that is very endangered now, and it has to do literally with the survival of mammals on our planet and our ecosystem. It came here to bring us harmony and balance and a river of knowledge. And there's only a few, I think one or two on the whole planet, dolphins that are freshwater, and these dolphins came over in a comet. They formed out of the water, the frozen water that was in that comet that came to this planet. It filled up and made the Ganges River and emerged the dolphins, and from that spot, that's what I was shown, that they literally was brought here, and other species as well. And it seems that certain genetics, certain people that have existed on our planet have DNA or have something that is able to interface with certain technologies that can call down cosmic forces, that can invoke cosmic forces and bring stones from the sky, fiery stones from the sky, comets from the sky. And it's even talked about in the Bible. Hey, Juliana. So, hey, Lydia, hey, everybody in the chat room. So it looks like you got the Patreon working. That's good. That's good. So, this is really, really intense information. And what's very interesting is that most people don't know is that the Ganges River is even called the River of Dolphins. And they have a specific freshwater dolphin that is like called like the dolphin Gangeticus or something. Like the scientific name is has like Ganges written in it, right? So this dolphin is basically blind. It only has little slits for eyes. It's basically completely blind. It sees by echoes. It sees by vibrations. And those vibrations echo throughout the universe. And I do feel on certain times of the year, they are bringing information even from one dimension to another. And they have to do with that river of light that exists on our planet, and it's being brought to species on our planet, like humanity. And how they thrive within the fresh water of that Ganges River depends on how we thrive and how humanity thrives and other species thrive on this planet. And right now, the Ganges River and that area is one of the most dirtiest on the planet. And this is known as the sacred area. Even Varanasi, which is Benares, an ancient city of Benares, all these sacred waters that have been holy for thousands of years are now corrupt. And there's fecal matter, like so much, all of this going on within these sacred waters. And the world is collapsing basically in on itself, and it's related to this. And some like Lydia is saying in the chat room, is it falling apart? Yeah, some would say we are living in the Kali Yuga, right? The Kali Yuga is coming. One of the how the procession goes of the planet, right? So these sacred dolphins, they basically were extinct in the Ganges River, like highly endangered, and they haven't appeared for like decades until COVID, until the lockdown. And now, within the last several months, a few of them have been appeared and been shown within the Ganges River again. And I do feel they did arrive on comets. And there has been certain craters on our planet that people don't realize that are probably related to huge tsunamis that are related to catastrophes on our planet that changed the world due to comets. And one of them is called the Burkle Center. And I have the picture, but I don't have a way to share screen on here. I might have to do another stream in the future on this where I could share the screen, like on StreamYard. When I do it through StreamYard, I'm able to share screen or Zoom so I could show you guys pictures. But maybe I could show you through right here on the picture in the book of where I'm talking about. But I have like pictures offline too. But if you guys can see right here, this is the Indian Ocean right here, right? India. This is Mount Ararat from Turkey and all that. And this is the impact, that little circle right here. Even though it looks little on this map, it's 18 miles wide. And it's an impact crater in the middle of the water. A lot of the impact craters of comets and things we don't even know about on our planet because they're hidden within the water. And you could sometimes can't even really see them unless you really look on satellite or somewhere. But there's this impact crater right here called the Burkle Center. And it's literally 18 miles wide. And it's in the Indian Ocean right there. And it was only rediscovered, like 10 years ago or so. And it's most likely happened around the times where the biblical flood is talking about. And you could see by the map I showed you that major tsunami that came from the Burkle Center would have brought a boat or some sort of craft that was on the water all the way to Mount Ararat. So it's quite possible that if somebody like, Noah and all these stories that they had to make these huge multi-level, sea barges with ventilation and cages for different animals and all of this. If that story holds up, then that Burkle Center could be the possible impact zone that would have pushed something from that area all the way to Mount Ararat and left it up in the mountains from that tsunami. So that is a pretty amazing piece of evidence. And I'm not the first person to talk about that. That's in, like I said, it's in a book about, the biblical flood, that Burkle Center. But I'm thinking that the Burkle Center is related to possibly certain species coming to this planet and certain plagues and all sorts of things. I mean, it's literally known in ancient Italy, certain sibyls would be attached to meteorites, and they would know when certain stones would fall from the sky and fire would come from the sky. They would be communicating somehow through the black meteorite that they had on this planet and through certain headsets that these sibyls and goddesses, or so-called goddesses, right, or these women, they would put on these, and it's almost like it was like a transhumanism thing that was taking place. Ishtar, Inanna, Ashtaroth, Astarte, all these Sekhmet, all of these goddesses are also called queens of the heaven. Now, queens of the heaven can literally mean a comet, right? A comet is something that is coming from the heavens, and it is like a goddess. It even is some kind, it's called a host. you know. And what's very interesting is, let me get my Bible, one of my Bibles, so I could show you. Now, there's various places in the Bible. I mean, we're gonna do a whole show eventually on Book of Revelation, maybe even later tonight. What's good is that we kind of have the next couple of days here. We kind of have some. We're gonna have some free time, and that we haven't had in a very long time. So I might be able to do a couple of these shows within the next 3 or 4 days. Um, so we're in the process of trying to move and get a new home too. So once we get a new place, it'll be a lot better set up. But we have right here in first the book of Job, right? So if anybody has a Bible and they wanna look along with us right now, you're gonna see some mind blowing things. So I have several translations. Like we have the King James version. I have a Catholic version, the new translation versions, all these different versions. So some say different things, right? Some say different things. This one we'll look at too. Now, if you guys want to look with me in the book of Job and Revelations, its comets are all over. And remind you now, some of these so-called goddesses or higher beings that they had something about their DNA where they were able to connect to certain technologies, right? There was certain things, headsets or headpieces that were part of the goddess, like that were able to call down comets, call down asteroids, call down fire from the sky, rain down fire on their enemies, right? A start day of the horns. They would show a start day. I have the one picture I showed on Patreon. Let me see if I can find it here, so I can show you guys real quick. That I do feel completely is referencing comets being called down by the headset, by the headdress, by whatever technology is like part of the goddess. And here's an example right here of one of the goddess. This is the same as Inanna, Astaroth, Ishtar. They're all depicted this way, where I do feel these sort of horns that you see are connected to cosmic celestial bodies, comets, right? And when we think about comets, right? Comets can even look like hairy stars, right? They can look like various things, and when you even get the word star in the Bible, it can mean various things. It could mean a comet. It could mean meteor showers. It can mean a fixed star, right? It can mean all sorts of different things, right? There's all different meanings for just the word star in the Bible. And if you go to Job 38, if you guys have your Bibles, and this is amazing because these books were written countless decades ago, right? Some of this stuff is thousands of years old, and they are describing technology and descriptions of things that we've only had recently in the last 100, 200 years or so. So this is really amazing. When you go to Job, this is Job 38, right? So when you come down to 38, was it 38:20? 38:20, I think it is, right? Oh yeah, wow. Okay, here we go. Now, and remind you that comets are divine intelligence. And like I said, they are um I feel the little bits and pieces of what consists of the comet are pieces of angels, pieces of higher creatures that have perished. Their physical body has perished, and their spirit energy went somewhere else. But their physical body was now used as technology, weapons, even for times of chaos, times of trouble, times of stress, and times of creation, right? And it's like the light that's even inside the comet. The comets are balls of ice with light around it, right? They're traveling light like balls of ice, and it's divine codes. Like there's divine codes within it that create and destroy and program. They're programmed for divine reasons. They're summoned for specific reasons, right? To even terraform worlds or destroy worlds. And we have, and I mean, literally, comets can come into this planet and shake the foundations of the earth and give earthquakes like they've never had before, tsunamis, right? It'll do something weird to the air. It'll destroy even certain biological things like locusts eating the body. Certain parts of Revelation, they even describe how the locusts only affected the people, but not the plant life, and didn't destroy like the grass and the trees, but somehow the people were getting affected or something, right? This is not because they were some weird little creatures. This was the fallout from the comet, right? And in right here in Job, right? Check this out. And comets are also like treasures of the sky, right? Treasures, they're balls of ice and hail and all of this, right? So, wow, that was weird. Did you hear that? So actually go a little bit more up. This is Job chapter 38. I mean, we could go all the way up to Job 12. Have you ever in your lifetime commanded the morning and shown the dawn in its place for taking hold of the ends of the earth till the wicked are shaken from its surface? The earth is changed as is clay by the seal, and dyed as though it were a garment. But from the wicked the light is withheld, and the arm of pride is shattered. Have you entered into the sources of the sea, or walked into the depths of the abyss? Have the gates of death been shown to you, or have you seen the gates of darkness? Have you comprehended the breadths of the earth? Tell me if you know all. And then here it goes, like really about comets, which is way to the dwelling place of light. And where is the abode of darkness, that you may take them to their boundaries and set them on their homeward paths? You know, because you were born before them, and the number of your years is great. And listen to this. Have you entered the storehouses of the snow and seen the treasury of the hail, which I have reserved for times of stress, for days of war and of battle? So check that out. So they're talking about storehouses of snow, treasures of hail that God has reserved for times of stress and times of trouble. Now, if that isn't describing a comet, I don't know what is. And it says right here, who has laid out a channel for the downpour? And comets are stored in reservoirs, in channels, and then they are downpoured on the sky, right? And the thunderstorm a path to bring rain to no man's land, the unpeopled wilderness, to enrich the waste and desolate ground till the desert blooms with, all this rain then comes, and then it even says out Job 38:29, out of the womb comes the ice, and who gives the hoarfrost its birth in the skies, when the waters lie covered as though with stone that holds captive the surface of the deep. And then it's like, then it goes on. Have you fitted a curb to the Pleiades or loosened the bonds of Orion? Right? All of this, they're talking about comets and coming comets, and it's even, I mean, even if you go into the book of Isaiah, right? The book of Isaiah 24:20 is really amazing. So if you guys want to follow with me, if you're in there, the book of Isaiah 24, actually like 24:18, right? He who flees at the sound of terror will fall into the pit. He who climbs out of the pit will be caught in the trap. For the windows on high will be opened, right? The windows of the sky open up, and the foundations of the earth will shake. So this is not a regular earthquake. So some interpreted the foundations of the earth shaking that it's from an earthquake. No, it's from an earthquake, but the earthquake is caused by something that came because the windows of the sky opened and the foundations of the earth shook afterwards. And then it said the earth will burst asunder. The earth will be shaken apart. The earth will be convulsed. The earth will reel like a drunkard. That means the earth will be shook on its axis. It'll be shaking like it's a drunkard, right? It'll be shaking and it will sway like a hut, and its rebellion will weigh it down until it falls never to rise again. I mean, it's talking about a massive comet impact that's coming. Windows of the sky opening up. Even in Book of Job, treasures of hail coming from the sky, right? And even in that picture I showed you, I mean, when they show these goddesses connecting to headsets, like connecting to comets even, they're always sitting on top of other beings, like sitting on top of lions or dolphins or some sort of creature, is connected to it. So I do believe it has to do with also bringing DNA, bringing life, changing species, altering species from the comet blast, from the codes, the light that comes within it, within the very, the very fabric of the comet. That what comes into the system is our planetary system. When it comes in, it's bringing divine light codes within it. Like I said, this is divine intelligence, right? And in Revelation, all over, I mean, even when they're talking about certain like in Revelation 9:17-19, where they're talking about these little locusts having breastplates, right? Certain breastplates and things, right? These are certain things that happen when comets strike, right? And in Job 38, what I was just talking about, Job like 38:30, they're talking about too, the waters are hid with a, like as if a stone, or as with a stone, and the ice inside a comet's rocky crust, is like, is like this. And they even say like, and the face of the deep, and it's like the mass of water in a comet they're talking about, and because it's frozen, right? So this is they're describing it, and they're even describing certain places in the Bible, like where like the Kuiper Belt, or the Oort cloud, which develops into the this Kuiper Belt of comets. It sort of develops into this Oort cloud, and it's a torus field. It's a spherical reservoir of comets that's all the way at the end of our entire solar system. And when they say, "Have you entered the storehouses of the snow?" I mean, comets are being stored in the Oort cloud. and they are storehouses. This is a storehouse of snow. So they're saying, have you entered the storehouses of snow? The storehouse of these treasures of hail, which I have reserved for times of trouble. Right there, it's a storehouse of snow. This is what the Oort cloud, this is what the Kuiper belt, the Oort cloud is. It is a storehouse of comets, of snow, and it's reserved for times of war to be summoned. Right, and this is what we have with the biblical flood. This is what we have with the Burkle Center, right? And like I said, the impact of the Burkle Center, you could see it. This is the impact right here. This would be the whole impact area around it, right? This 18-mile section right here is the impact. But all here you have India, all here you have the Levant, Turkey, go all the way up to Mount Ararat. It would affect all the way, all the way to Australia, out to Australia. So this is very significant. More is being discovered all the time, and I was shown that the River Ganges dolphins have to do with basically the health of our species as well, and other species, other mammals. And the whole fact that they are blind, it sort of shows you how psychic and how developed their other senses must be, right? And this species of dolphin is just a slit for their eyes, and they're almost completely extinct. And it's 11:11 a.m. right now over here, and that's not by an accident that this is all sort of coming on with this information. And there's stories that even line up in the Vedas that have to do with, I feel, comets, right? So there's this amazing, famous story that's in the Puranas and the Itihasas. These are two Vedic, writings, right? And they talk about the story where these sons of the king, right? They're called the sons of Sagara, right? They're basically, their father's the king, and their lineage, they're literally called the sons of Sagara, right? That was their names. And it's the story sort of like is involved with how the Ganges came down. They even call it the heavenly Ganges, the Mama Ganga, right? The heavenly Ganga, right? So they talk about how the sons of Sagara had to go searching for this special sacrificial horse. And a lot of times the horse is symbolizing the sun, right? The solar horse. So it's also symbolizing light codes and divine information, right? So these sons of Sagara in the story, they go searching for this special sacrificial horse, right? That's their father's, the king, right? It's been stolen, right? So you could say divine information has been stolen from them, or divine technology has been stolen from them. That has to do with the sun and divine light codes, right? So to go looking for this sacrificial horse that was stolen, they didn't know, was it stolen by a mystical sage? Was it stolen by a god? How was this taken, right? They go digging holes in the earth, in the water, even the oceans, right? They go dig holes. They're digging holes in the earth. And finally they find this sacrificial horse, this special technology at the center of the earth, in the inner earth, right? And they find it with this sage called Kapila the sage, right? And they were incinerated by his mystic powers. So I mean, he's got some solar sort of power. He's got some sort of comet sort of power anyway, right? They go looking for him. They find what they're looking for at the center of the earth, and they're instantly incinerated by into a heap of ash by this sage Capilla and his mystical powers. Now, after this in the story, the ancestors of the sons of Sagara prayed to Shiva to bring down the heavenly Ganga from the sky, to bring down the heavenly Ganges. And Shiva in the story, gives his grace and fills up the Bay of Bengal, or Sagara. And I feel the way he did this was by a comet strike. This is how he brought down and filled up the Bay of Bengal, sweeping through. And even in the sky, I mean, in the Bible, they describe similar things with hairy stars. In other passages. I used two examples today of the book of Job and the book of Isaiah, but all throughout Revelation, in our next session that we're going to do, is countless depictions of this. And I do believe literally the Bay of Bengal and the Ganges River was brought through a comet strike. And this is why we have tales of Shiva, bringing down the Ganges River from the heavens. And it's basically frozen ice, frozen in gases and stones and light, divine intelligence. And I do think the higher beings, their matter gets used for this material, for comets. And there's so much more to go along with this. We're going to do a series of these informations, and about the dolphins, there's so much more to go into as well. But we really need to preserve these freshwater species, not just for our own good, but for the ecosystem. They even have to do with the rain patterns on the planet, the calls of the whales, the calls of the dolphins, the echoes of these, the sounds that these creatures make is divine information, divine codes that help keep the planetary harmony and balance. And it's literally the divine river of light that is coming higher dimensionally from higher dimensional coordinates into the rivers on our planet, connected to the torus fields. They're connected. The toroidal movement of these spinning vortices funnels up into the higher dimensional coordinate and funnels down into this lower dimensional coordinate. But that drip of that river of light that's dripping down is being corrupted, is being taken away. And one of these eternal cities is connected to the Ganges River, right? And on all of this river. I mean, it's not talked about. And it's called, even in the Rig Veda, called the Varuna, right? And all of these places, even throughout India and throughout the world, they're even talking about producing this sacred substance called soma, right? This higher dimensional living liquid, sort of like a living DMT. And even I just recently did a reading on somebody, and I tapped into their ancient Vedic past that is connected to Atlantean priesthoods that were taking dead matter, like a skull or a plant, a dead plant or a dead person's head or a dead tree, turning that into crystal. And then from there, turning that crystal into liquid crystal, a liquid state. And that liquid would be used for all sorts of technologies and healing and elixirs and all sorts of things, right? So we're starting to come to the point where that technology is starting to come on our planet soon again. And a lot of us have been put on this planet to transmit and receive that technology and work with that technology. And dolphins were supposed to be some of the ones to help relay that information to us and process it and bring it a harmonious balance with it as well, so it's not used in filth and destruction. But now the river of light that they swim in is filth and corruption. So these technologies are being used for filth and corruption, and only to replicate and hurt humanity and not live in a harmonious balance with free energy, right? So this is what's happening on our planet. And I really appreciate you guys being patrons. And I always give my first access to my information always right here. And like I said, if you guys are my patrons that have certain platforms, you want to give me your address that haven't got from me, I have charms available for you guys. So hit me up, send me a private message with your address or whatever. And I also do private email readings for certain subscribers that have certain platforms. So let me know, and I will contact you. Just either email me or contact me through Patreon. And this is really amazing information. And I want to thank you guys all for joining me today. We'll either get another one going later tonight or tomorrow. So thank you, and Spiral out.